an obscene new anti-trans draft bill in Montana.
Here's the thing. This bill is very similar to what we saw introduced as coming in 2023 in Texas. And what this bill will essentially do is it will define drag performer in this way. A drag performance means a performance in which a performer exhibits a gender identity that is different than the performer's gender assigned at birth using clothing, makeup, or other physical markers, and sings, lip syncs, dances, or otherwise performs for entertainment to appeal to a prurient interest. We know that drag performers can be cisgender, they can be transgender, they can be male, they can be female, they can be gay, they can be straight, they can be a combination of any of things, or they can be none of these things. It is not a function of their gender or sexuality. It is who they choose to take on as a persona on their stage presence. Drag, in this definition, would therefore open up the definition of a drag performer to anyone who would dress in a manner or take on the appearance of a gender that was not the one they were identified with at birth. And then, if that person is in the place of singing, lip syncing, dancing, or other form of performance for entertainment, that person, if it is of a prurient interest, that person would be declared a drag performer, and that is a sexually oriented performance. How do we know this? Because in the definitions it says a sexually oriented business means a nightclub, bar, restaurant, or similar commercial enterprise that provides for an audience of two or more individuals, live nude entertainment, or live nude performances, or a drag performance, and authorizes on premises consumption of alcoholic beverages. Now, this bill is designed to prohibit minors from attending a drag show or prohibiting minors from entering sexually oriented businesses or preventing drag performances in schools or libraries that receive state funding. But the thing is, this definition that is set out in here is so broad, it is so general, that it includes transgender people who are in a public venue to do some type of entertaining performance without any definition of what that entertainment is. And the idea of prurient interest is defined by the individual watching the performer, not by the performer themselves. So when we talk about prurient interests, if someone has a thing for trans people, if they are fetishizing a transgender person, that is a prurient interest.
So it doesn't matter the intent of the performer or the performance or the venue, the subject matter, any of that stuff. If a person watching it could view it in a prurient way,
Yes.
not super familiar with that word. That's just not one I use in my lexicon very often, but that then makes that illegal.
Exactly. And just to kind of step this, into a kind of clearer situation, when we talk about that prurient interests, that word doesn't necessarily require any form of enticement on the part of the actor. It doesn't require anything on their behalf. And when we have an entire class of people saying that transgender people are sexualizing children by talking about gender identity, when they sexualize the very concept of gender to the point that if you mention it and it has some form of gender identity component to it, that is a prurient interest in their minds. My definition of how this bill is dangerous: Laverne Cox singing the national anthem in front of a home crowd Dallas Cowboys football game has now turned that into a sexually oriented business. Rosa, the big difference here is that the service of alcohol or the consumption of alcohol is the catch. Most people who are busking aren't doing so, you know, with a keg right next to them.
In a
Although
venue
I'm
where,
guessing
yeah.
some bigger tips would be involved. But this bill, like I said, this one mirrors the Texas bill. This one goes a little bit further, though, and basically it does not designate an age such as the Texas bill of 10 and under. This is for 18 and under on the premises.